Welcome to the Create a Life You Love podcast, the go-to podcast for people who are called to make a positive impact through the power of coaching. You'll hear encouraging stories from coaches sharing their journeys and their lessons learned along the way, tips from top experts who help coaches thrive in their life and their business, and so much more. So if you're ready to create a business and a life of impact that you love, let's get started. Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of the Create a Life You Love podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Chantal Cox, and I am an author, a speaker, a transformation neurocoach, and a certified life purpose coach.
And I'm Guin White, quantum human design specialist and positive intelligence coach.
Together, Gwen and I are on a mission to dramatically transform and create community in the coaching industry by supporting you in saying no to all of the complicated cookie cutter strategies that just lead you to burnout and instead empower you to say yes to simplification with a focus on alignment, service, and impact.
Absolutely. And with our combined experience and areas of expertise, we're here to help you create aligned momentum in your business and your life.
I love it. I love that aligned part. So important. So big shout out to XO Christian Jones, who left a review for us. They said, I love the concept of this podcast, having something to come to for encouragement, tips, and positive impact inspiration is vital, especially as an entrepreneur. So thank you.
No kidding. That's great. And it's nice to receive your encouragement and your inspiration as well, XO Christian Jones. Thank you for your review and your feedback. And before we kick off today's episode, quick shout out to our sponsor, the Create a Life You Love membership, this amazing active community of passionate, purpose-driven coaches who are up-leveling in the most powerful ways to increase their powerful momentum, their knowledge, and their impact out in the world. For more information and to apply, check out creativelifeyoulovecoaching.com/membership. We'll have the link in the show notes.
Absolutely. So today is one of our favorite topics. We're bringing in the AI again. What?
Exactly. Yeah, AI is all the rage right now, right?
It really is. I just had this vision of, if you've seen Zoolander, Will Ferrell being like so hot right now.
Exactly, with his tiny phone.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Now I want to go do that. Put that on my weekend to-do list. Anyway,
Exactly.
back to the task at hand. So if you've been listening to us for a little bit, you know that Gwen and I love AI and we have embraced it in our businesses. And we're excited to have another episode kind of tailored around AI. It's actually a masterclass that we recently hosted in our newly launched community called AI Coach Connection. And we are in we're collaborating with Bruce Fleck, who is hosting the webinar once we start that. And you will definitely get the opportunity to meet him in a future podcast episode here on the Create a Life You Love podcast.
Yeah, that'll be exciting. I can't wait to have Bruce on. And of course, if you're a coach who is interested in learning more about technology, particularly the tech that can help you start, run, grow your business, the AI Coach Connection WhatsApp group is definitely worth checking out. This community of over 100 members now, I can't believe that, is all about leveraging the power of AI and tech tools in your coaching business in a safe, responsible, and of course, aligned way. Plus, it's completely free. So grab the link in the show notes and join us and check out all the tech and all the AI.
Yeah, I really enjoyed getting to know the people in there. It's so fun. Like we've got people in Europe, people in Hawaii, people throughout the States, like
Absolutely.
Canada, everywhere. It's a
everywhere. I know we have members from Egypt, members from, we have lots of members from Africa, South America, literally a global community. It is mind-blowing, the conversations too that we're having in there. It's really fun.
Yeah, I'm learning so much because we can't keep up with everything. So it's great that everyone's sharing. If they find a tool that they're like, this is really working in my coaching business, it's just such a great community of sharing and learning and just all the things, Gwen.
All the things, exactly. We're giving master classes on some of those tools as well. So that's been really fun too. And speaking of, we're diving even more deeply into AI and sharing this masterclass. And of course, AI, is becoming more and more important in the world, as well as in the coaching world and in our coaching businesses. So we're so pleased and honored to feature this fantastic guest today, who is an expert in the field, who, is featured here in the masterclass presentation.
Yes, I know you guys are just going to absolutely love Kelley Tenny. She is the founder of Women Who AI and course creation specialist. I love that name. She has the Women Who AI. I'm like, get it, girl. And she's
Yes,
definitely she's just a trailblazer when it comes to integrating AI into the coaching space. And she really focuses on how to do it while maintaining authenticity.
absolutely. She's all about the ethical approach, and you'll hear a lot about that in this presentation. And of course, with this particular masterclass, her mission is really to empower coaches to leverage AI tools both effectively, but without compromising your genuine connection and personalized approach. Obviously, that's, the place where we want to live, is in that place of authenticity. So yeah, this presentation is really foundational.
Absolutely. So I'm so excited for you guys to get to learn from her and hear her expertise and insights. So we're going to dive into this exclusive masterclass presentation. And a quick note, this is a little different than most podcast episodes because it was recorded live and there's great participant in, engagement and discussion. And there's times when she shares her screen for really fun things like demonstrations on ChatGPT and things like that. So if you are in listening mode, like you're out on a walk or you're driving, you are still going to get so much value from just listening in, but you might want to make a little mental note to yourself that this was definitely worth coming back and watching later. And you can find all of our video episodes on our YouTube channel, and we will make sure that that link is in the show notes for you as well.
Absolutely.
Okay, so enjoy.
Met her through Darby Rollins at the AI Author and took her micro course, how to build micro courses, which I think will be really relevant going forward to keep things brief for people, brief learning sessions. And then when they want to go deep, then you can help them go deep. But micro courses are going to be really important going forward. And then she taught an AI in business that was co-taught with the UC Berkeley Changemakers program, right? She's a longtime educator and entrepreneur with both starting or having her consulting business, Brilliant Design. Is that right? Brilliant? No, that's not quite right. I had it right before.
Teacher brilliance.
Teacher brilliance. That's right. Because helping coaches and course creators create high engaging courses, and then most recently Women Who AI, because Kelley's quickly becoming an expert in how to use generative AI for education as well as other business aspects. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you, Kelley. And if everyone else, yeah, go ahead and mute if you don't mind.
Amazing. Thank you. First of all, thank you for having me. It's nice to meet all of you and just have you here. I'm super excited for today. I know that AI is such a hot conversation and everybody is just trying to figure out what is this and how does it work. So we're going to have some fun today. I'm going to lay some foundations around AI and things to consider. And I'm going to do some demonstration, which I think will be really fun for a lot of you to see it in action. And as I get started, I would love to know a couple things about you first. One is on a scale of let's just do 1 to 3, right? On a scale of 1 to 3, 1 being I've heard of AI and ChatGPT. 3, I'm totally using it every day. Where are you at in the AI scale? Amazing. Using it every day. Awesome. Anyone? Okay, there we go. We've got a 1, a couple 3s. Okay, so you guys are like, okay, I'm in it. Like I'm trying to use it and things like that too. Kristen, it is really good to see you. Kristen and I have known each other for quite some time, believe it or not. And it's such a great surprise to see you here. 2.5. Okay, fantastic. The second thing I'd love to know before we get started is, what is your business? So I'd love to know what you do, who your clients are, because that's going to allow us to have some fun when it comes to our demonstration. Okay, so go ahead and put that in the chat, and I'm going to get ready. Like I said, I'm just going to start off with laying some ground foundations around AI. A lot of things that I think a lot of us who are using AI and have jumped into the conversation maybe don't even really recognize, right? So I'm going to share my screen. Amazing language coach, introverted BIPOC leaders, quiet leaders. I love that. I have such a visual with that title, Guin, quiet leaders. Self-actualization coach, amazing. And yeah, thank you. Go ahead and keep adding to the chat. Sparring coach for people in transitions. All right, fantastic. So I just want to start off with like making sure that we're all kind of on the same field in terms of recognizing what AI is. AI is artificial intelligence, and it is basically what we're looking at, what we're dealing with is the simulation of human intelligence processes that is being done by a machine, especially computer systems. These processes include learning, reasoning, and self-correction. And AI can be used in a variety of contexts. So I know something that is just really a big part of the conversation right now is ChatGPT. But what a lot of people don't recognize is that there are a lot of different types of AI out there. Probably many of you have come into contact with other types of AI or have used other types of AI previous to ChatGPT and AI tools like Jasper without even realizing it. So where people are like, oh, hey, AI is new. A lot of us don't realize that it actually isn't that new. There are types of AI that we call reactive AI, which is like if you've ever played chess with a computer, right? It makes its own moves. Its move though is it's reactionary. It's based on the move that you did. I was just on a long flight to Atlanta. I played some chess on the Delta airline with its computer. I lost every single time, but my 10-year-old's trying to learn. My 10-year-old is in a chess club, and so I'm trying to like beef up my game. But things like that are reactive AI, right? Like it can't predict my move, right? But it can definitely react to my moves. And then, we've got what we have now with tools like ChatGPT and so forth, which are tools that can start to recognize patterns and potentially do some prediction. And kind of that's where we are today in this space. Of course, with AI, and especially as coaches and consultants, we always want to consider the ethical issues. I know ethics around AI is something that I see quite often as part of the conversation, part of the concerns, if you will. And I think when we think about ethics in AI, we really have to recognize that there's a couple different aspects that we want to consider when we're looking at ethical issues. One of them, first and foremost, is, are we using AI in an ethical way when it comes to our business, right? I see a lot of posts happening right now. In fact, I just had someone I'm connected to on LinkedIn say, I just wrote my 3rd book. ChatGPT just wrote my 3rd book. And that's fantastic, right? But when we think about, well, the ethical issues behind that, we want to question, and we're probably going to start seeing a lot of things around the idea of, is that really this person's book? Does it really belong to them? Did they actually really write it? We're already seeing some things in terms of intellectual property and things like in the art industry. So we had a couple of cases come out around artists saying that this is my work of art that I created with Dolly, and people saying, well, technically that is not your work of art, right? If Dolly created that. And so we're going to be seeing a lot of those components, right? I think the biggest thing that we want to ask ourselves and remember is, how do we use AI? How do we harness its power and still be able to maintain alignment with our business ethics and our business values? And so with that, I always suggest complete transparency. AI is not a secret. We know that a lot of people are utilizing AI. I did see someone else suggest to the person who said, I wrote my third book, you should put that ChatGPT co-authored your book. And I'm like, that's a very good, transparent way to be able to say, like, I wrote this and maybe I did have some help. I'm actually in the middle of writing a book about AI in education. And it's going to be to prove a case that AI can actually be very beneficial and helpful to our students, especially in the K through 12 population. And I am going to boast that AI wrote the whole book, right? Really as just an example of what it can do. And I'm sure that's going to ruffle a lot of feathers. But that's part of all of us using AI anyways. If you're on this call, probably you're some kind of disruptor or pioneer or innovator anyways. So you guys are probably my people, right? Yeah, written in conjunction with, partnered with. Full transparency, I think, is always something that we want to consider. The other thing too, though, that we want to think about when it comes to ethical issues is recognizing that with a lot of these tools, I'll use ChatGPT as an example. ChatGPT is very transparent in that the information you put into it, it is going to take and learn from it, right? And so we really have to be aware and mindful of what AI platforms we are using that are going to take our information and put it in the AI world and potentially have it not be ours anymore. And, what types of platforms are actually coming out and saying, we will not use your information. Your information is still your private information, when you interact with that. And luckily, a lot of these bigger platforms have been very transparent in that. ChatGPT just came out with a feature recently that allows you to turn off its ability to use your information, right? And so it's a very well hidden component on there that you kind of have to look for, but it does allow you to say, no, you cannot use my information that I'm putting in here to teach ChatGPT. They've also made it very difficult because if you don't allow them to use your chat, they will not save your chat history. So that's kind of the little dig that they've gotten, is like, okay, you can't use our, we can't use your information. We won't store your information for you. But things like that are a step in the right direction. Coming back to being coaches and consultants, I saw something the other day that I think raises a red flag, and probably most of us can agree at this point in hindsight, this probably isn't a good idea. But I had a sales coach who was boasting about the fact of how he's using the power of AI and ChatGPT. And he shared how he put all of his clients' information into ChatGPT, and ChatGPT was able to basically kick back a coaching plan based on this client's business, revenue goals, and so forth, right? We have to recognize, though, that that information potentially was confidential information. And where we are putting things in some of these platforms that say we are going to use your information, we have to recognize that we don't know where that information is. I also saw someone talk about how they've been using ChatGPT. A few weeks ago, they put their entire first quarter P&L into ChatGPT. And then they asked ChatGPT to kick back a budget for the next quarter. And I was like, okay, I can get the concept behind that. But I was also like, you just put your entire P&L into basically a public platform. And so we really have to be careful with those ethical issues in terms of safety and security. How can we ensure that we're utilizing this tool to our benefit, but really staying within the ethics of our own business and the ethics of how we want to work with our clients? Golden rule, I always say, if you wouldn't put it on Facebook, you shouldn't put it in tools like ChatGPT, right? And so I think that's something that we can kind of consider. most of you are 3s or 2s, 2.5. So you already know the benefits that we can find through AI. And I think right now in the coaching and consulting industry, a lot of us are really recognizing that there's a lot of power in being able to produce content a lot more effectively and efficiently than when we're trying to do it on our own. Aside from content creation, though, there's obviously a lot of other things that we can do, from analyzing data to lead generation, automating your customer experience or customer service. I asked ChatGPT to help me make dinner last night when I literally was like, facing that what are we having for dinner issue. And I was like, let's see what ChatGPT comes up with. I typed in like 6 things that were in my refrigerator, and it actually spit out a healthy, like full recipe, not just like, here's your idea. It was like, 1, boil your water. 2. And so I think as we lean into it and start to really test what it can do, both personally and professionally, we're going to see a lot more benefits that are coming out. And of course, we see so many very specific tools, AI tools that are coming out that are meant to help us within certain areas. So I think that's really exciting. We, I think, can probably also all agree that AI tools are not going anywhere. For anyone who thought, oh, this is just a trend, I don't believe that it is. I think that AI is here to stay, and I think it's only going to be more enhanced. We're already starting to see a lot of use within industry spreads. Traditionally, we saw AI being used like in areas like healthcare. But now we're seeing more and more industries adopt AI, not only for small businesses and solopreneurs, but different size companies, again, in all kinds of different industries. We're also going to start to see improved algorithms. When we're thinking about machine learning, and we're recognizing that with every interaction that tools like ChatGPT have with us and the information that we put into it, it's only going to get smarter. As Bruce mentioned, I work a lot with Darby Rollins, who is the AI author. Darby was Jasper AI's very first customer ever. And I actually also joined Jasper back in the day when it was called Conversion AI. And it's just amazing to me like how clunky it used to be and how much it's actually developed. And for those of you that have been using ChatGPT since the beginning of the conversation, you probably have already seen the difference between the iterations of ChatGPT 3, ChatGPT 3.5, and now with the new ChatGPT 4. And I think that there is something to say around the speed at which these algorithms are improving. And also we're seeing a lot of concern around that, like recognizing how quickly it is becoming smarter, how quickly it is evolving. And with all of those amazing like benefits and those additions, there's always more things that we have to be mindful of. Human collaboration. I love to describe AI as a partner. I know there's a lot of fear around replacement. And while there's certainly a lot of roles that AI is going to replace, I think for us, there's always the opportunity to partner with AI and recognize that we can be more efficient, we can be more productive when it comes to using AI to complete our tasks more efficiently. And I think more importantly, even more accurately than we potentially could do on our own. And then, of course, we're seeing a huge explosion in market expansion. There are different AI technologies that are being used every single day. They're being created every single day. When we have the opportunity to even do coding and software development with some of these AI tools, it really allows people access to create new platforms and new apps and things like that. And so we're really going to just have, I think, this inundation of AI technologies that are coming at us. I see 10 new tools a day that I didn't hear about yesterday. right? And so I think while that's exciting, it's also going to make things difficult for us when we're trying to figure out which tools should we be using, right? Especially for those of us that love technology and that have that like shiny object syndrome. It's like, I want to use that tool and I want to use that tool and I want to use that tool. And so we also want to think about, how can we most effectively power with AI? Where is it in our business and in our workflows that we can, that will allow us to use AI most effectively, recognizing that once we learn how to use it more effectively, it allows us to serve our clients at a higher level, right? It allows us to provide more value and generate more impact. And so, when we can figure out how we can use it, yeah, AI will soon become a commodity. I was just read, was it Mark Cuban? I think he put out a tweet the other day. It may not have been Mark Cuban, but he was basically talking about, if you remember back in the day when using the internet was like a skill, right? And being able to like effectively search the internet or being able to like build a website or doing web design was a skill. And now it's like everybody can do it, right? And basically comparing it to where we're at right now with AI, right? Is that it's in 10 years, it's going to be something that everybody is using, everybody is interacting with. And I think that's really exciting. With that though, the big conversation and the thing that I'm really here to talk about today is how do we continue to preserve our voice and our own authenticity when it comes to using AI. I think that's the biggest thing that we're starting to see conversations around. And when we're looking at people who maybe are a little bit more resistant to AI, the biggest piece is, well, I can write better, I can speak better, I can share my own expertise, and that's something that AI cannot do. And so what we're going to look at today is we're going to do some demonstration and look at what I like to call creating I call it my AI cake, layer cake, right? But we're going to look at like, how can we actually partner with AI so that we are harnessing AI's ability to help us create content more effectively and still be able to maintain our voice and expertise? My biggest question. Awesome. Yes. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that I want to do is I just want to do a really basic level demonstration for anybody who maybe is like, I'm not really sure if I'm doing it right, or I'm just starting to figure it out. To just show you the difference in prompting. Now, one of the things that for those of you that have been using it for a while, there's a lot of talk around using tools like ChatGPT and having to be what they're calling a prompt master, right? You probably, if you pay any attention to, especially LinkedIn, I see this all the time, is like, who wants my 50 prompts, right, for ChatGPT? Who wants, my guidebook, I just saw one for like 250 sales prompts, right, for ChatGPT. As ChatGPT has gotten smarter, I want us to recognize that we actually don't need to do those like structured typed prompts anymore. And that while those prompts are helpful, we just people who are not prompt engineers can have conversations with ChatGPT and interactions to actually get the kind of results that we want. With that, I want you to recognize that because ChatGPT learns from us, the more unique information that we give it, the more authentic results that it's going to give us, right? And so when we're talking about layering and making sure that our authenticity, our unique expertise, our brilliance shines through, we have to recognize that we can do that just by teaching ChatGPT who we are. So I'm going to demonstrate. And who wants to be my hot seat? Like, who wants to be okay, Chantel's on it. All right, Chantel, I think I saw in the chat that you are a self-actualization coach.
Yes.
Okay, can you share with us or share with me who your ideal client is?
Yes. So it's a woman in her 50s She is very self-critical, and that leads to perfectionism. She has a hard time expressing her true feelings and emotions because it makes her vulnerable, but she ends up blowing up because it's stifled.
Okay. And what is her pain point? What does she need?
She wants to have more fun in her life. So she wants to take life a lot less seriously. And she wants to do away with the self-critical voice in her mind. She wants an empowering voice.
Okay. So thank you for that. We're starting with a very vague and general chat. And what I'm using right now is I'm using the default 3.5 because I just want to demonstrate the free version that all of you could take advantage of right now. There is the paid GPT-4 version, that's $20, but I just like to show people how smart even 3.5 is for anybody who's beginning and is wondering, like, do I need to invest in this? And things like that. So we have a very general command in here. Create a social media post for a woman in her 50s who's self-critical and a perfectionist. She's a hard time to express her emotions. She wants to have more fun in her life and take life less seriously. So here's the social media post that ChatGPT has provided. And Chantal, you can tell me, this could like speak to my ideal client or not. Dear friends, today I want to share something personal with you. For a long time, I've been a perfectionist and self-critical, always striving to do everything right, never letting myself relax. I've come to realize that life is too short to take everything so seriously. I want to have more fun, laugh more, enjoy the moment without worrying about every little thing. So I'm making a commitment to myself to be more playful and let go of my perfectionism. Won't be easy, but I know it'll be worth it. And I hope that by sharing this, I can inspire others who may be struggling with similar feelings. Let's enjoy life together. Now, obviously, as a business owner, this is missing some very basic components of what we would post in our business, right? As some kind of attraction post or something like that, that we might see on our business page. But I'd love to ask Chantal, does this sound like something one of your clients potentially would say?
Yes. Yeah. It's very on point.
Perfect. Okay. So what we want to do from here now, right? And this is where we have the opportunity to interact with these tools, is going, okay, whoops, maybe I didn't give it enough information. I actually want it to create a post to maybe lead this person into booking a call with me, right? So we kind of remembered like, okay, we need a call to action. I guess ChatGPT needs a little bit more guidance. So I'm going to repost that original prompt, and then I'm going to tell it to include a call to action to book a call with me, with me, because I am a self. So I'm just going to give it, again, some vague information. A self-actualization coach potentially is something that's pretty general, right? But now it's going to tweak that just by giving it a little bit more information. Are you tired of being your own worst critic? Do you long to let loose and have more fun, but find yourself held back by perfectionism and self-doubt? As a self-actualization coach, I'm here to help. Together, we can work on breaking through those barriers, cultivating a more positive mindset, and learning to express your emotions in a healthy way. Life is meant to be enjoyed, not just endured. Don't let fear and doubt hold you back any longer. Book a call with me today and take the first step towards a happier, more fulfilling life. Let's make this journey together. Chantal, as the expert, what are your thoughts on that post? Is it
Sounds like fun?
What's that?
I want to join. Sounds like fun.
Yeah,
it's
right?
it's light, but there's like, we could do this kind of feeling to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, this again, though, is fairly generic, right? Like this is something that potentially we might see coming from a lot of people that do similar coaching to what you do, Chantal. So now we're looking at, okay, well, how do we make this authentic to Chantal, right? To recognize that maybe everybody who works with this ideal client could put a very general post out there like that, and we might all kind of look very similar, right? And of course, we all want to stand out in our industry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to take this prompt, and you don't always have to copy the prompt. Like Chat GPT is going to remember what is in this history, but I kind of noticed that sometimes Chat GPT gets like off track. I've started to see a lot of things around Chat GPT hallucinating, which is starting really cracking me up. So I'm just always like, you know what, let's just make sure it stays on track. It's probably the educator in me of having to like knowing I need to repeat a lot. And so that's no different. So I want to add something that is unique to you, Chantal. So in this prompt, I would love to know what your unique expertise or what unique, experience you bring to the table as a self-actualization coach.
So I realized 2 or 3 years ago that we were either online, we are online, or we're offline. And it's the same as a computer. When we are online, we are plugged into infinite possibilities. We are geniuses. It flows. Things are just brilliant. And we are at our best. But then we go offline. And when we go offline, we're dealing with our sidekicks, not psychics, but sidekicks.
Okay.
And these are entities that we created as children because we didn't know how to deal with stuff. And they've grown over time because we've kept feeding them. So it has to do with our neurocircuitry.
Okay. Do you have a background in neurocircuitry?
Like, you mean like a doctorate or something? No.
So your realization what came a couple of years ago that when we are like on our own, right, by ourselves, we have these things that pop up, right? Is that what your realization was?
No.
Okay. So I'm a self-actualization coach who realized a couple of years ago that I'd love to hear something that if I'm like, Chantal, what makes you different than everybody else who works like somebody like me? What would you say?
I think we already are who we want to be.
Okay.
But all of these sidekicks who are there to protect and share their wisdom to us, navigate us in different directions because they want to protect us. It's a fun way of doing it because it's third person. They have a personality. They have certain words they use. They have a physical being to it. Like my taskmaster is a Roman legionnaire with just a little skirt and a whip.
Okay. So what I put here is that you're a self-actualization coach who realized a couple of years ago that we have sidekicks that can navigate us and pull us in different directions. Does that sound kind of in alignment with what you teach and what you help people with?
Yes, but the big part of it is realizing who we are is online. Where we go is offline.
Okay. So I'm using your words, putting them into Chat GPT and seeing how this post shifts. Are you tired of always striving for perfection, feeling self-critical, struggling to oppress your emotions? I know how you feel. I've been there. A couple of years ago, I discovered that we all have inner sidekicks that can pull us in different directions. And I realized that I needed to take control of mine. As a self-actualization coach, I can help you do the same. Together, we'll work on identifying your inner critics, learning to let go of perfectionism, finding ways to have more fun and joy in your life. I believe that who we are is online and where we go is offline, and I'm here to help you navigate both. Don't let self-doubt and fear hold you back any longer. Book a call with me today. So does that sound something that is a little more authentic or a little more in alignment than what you to what you would actually say?
Yes, but because people aren't used to the vocabulary, it might create confusion.
Okay. Yeah. So, and again, like I know we're just kind of like trying to on the spot grab a little bit of what your uniqueness is, but hopefully everybody can see the difference between this post, which again is a very solid post, that leads to booking a call just by adding a little bit more of Chantel's vocabulary in there, the way she kind of explains things. It's a lot more unique to what Chantal would say, right? And so with maintaining our authenticity and maintaining our voice, one of the first things for everybody to recognize is the more we put our voice into ChatGPT, actually in and of itself, the more authentic to our voice the results are going to be. We talk a lot about, and this is something many of you may have heard already, garbage in, garbage out. Like it's basically recognizing the amount of information we put into this tool, and all tools, whether you're using Jasper, which is another tool that Bruce and I use very often, or just this free version of ChatGPT. The more information we give it, the more specifics we give it, the better our results are going to be from it. Okay, Bruce.
Yeah, so I also want to point out between the first and second prompt, if you'll scroll back up, the only difference you added between the first and second was put in a call to action, right? To give me a call. And ChatGPT was able to recognize that the purpose of the post changed. Okay. And so it completely rewrote the beginning of it to put a couple of questions to act as a hook to get people's attention. And I just want to emphasize the importance of not only your voice, but also having a clear intention or clear purpose before doing any kind of work with this. You know, you can play with it and it's going to give you all kinds of stuff, but if you have a very clear purpose, then you can get a clear answer, and then you can refine it. I think the other thing, and I've learned this, just like I think it was one of the famous authors, like Ernest Hemingway or Fitzgerald or somebody like that, said there's no such thing as writing, there's only rewriting. I think there's no such thing as prompting, there's only reprompting or reshaping your prompts to get what you want. So if I can help emphasize those points as part of this to help get to your authentic voice, I think it'll be helpful.
Yeah, thank you, Bruce. And that's a very good point, right? When he's talking to is like, at first ChatGPT wrote this as it was speaking in the first person. And then as soon as we told it, well, but I want this post to have someone book a call with me, it immediately recognized, okay, now I'm speaking to somebody else. And it was able to shift the person that went to third person, recognizing just from this, well, if I want them to book a call with me, obviously I'm not telling myself to book a call with me. So it knew immediately to change, right, that perspective. And that's just, I think, that just demonstrates the power on how smart even, and again, this is ChatGPT 3.5. There's a smarter version, a faster version out there, if you will, but it's able to pick up on that just by those prompts. Now, of course, we can continue to go further. Chantal, did you have a question or?
No, I just wanted to thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So of course we can also go further, right? And so from here, obviously we can do things like create a list of 10 blog post ideas for this woman. I'm not even going to tell it that. Create a list of 10 blog post ideas. And again, Chantal, I have to lean on you for being the expert. But if you look at this list of 10 blog ideas, do these sound like blog ideas that you could actually write for your ideal clients?
Yeah.
Is there one maybe that you liked the best or that kind of called out to you?
The first and the second.
Okay.
I would kind of combine those.
Okay, so let's just take the first one just for purpose of demonstration. And let's ask ChatGPT to create an outline. Now, personally, when I was saying earlier, sometimes we have to decide where in our business can AI help us accelerate things. I feel like I'm the kind of person that once I have an idea, I can run with it. But very often I have a really hard time coming up with ideas that I feel like are not what everybody else is doing. Right. And so I use ChatGPT and tools like this a lot to brainstorm. because quite frankly, as many of you know, as business owners, I have a lot of plates that I have spinning. And when it's time to write a blog and it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, this thing up here is like, I'm finished, right? And it just is spinning. I always tell my husband, I can feel my brain slowing down, right? It comes that part of the day where I can tell like just my thinking is just slowing down and it's getting bogged down. So I love using ChatGPT for things like this, to be able to be like, wow, I never would have thought about writing a blog on the benefits of play. Like, what a great idea. I could totally do that, but I wouldn't have thought about it. So what I did is I just cut and pasted this blog idea. I'm going to ask ChatGPT to come up with the outline. And here's where I'm going to tell you, we really can start to partner with this tool to bring in our own unique experiences, stories, and voice. So what it did here is it gave me probably a very solid outline. Introduce the blog, talk about the importance of self-compassion, define what that means, how is it different from self-esteem, why it can be hard to practice self-compassion. I might go through this, and now as a human, and this is where that layer cake comes in, I might say like, yes, I totally remember when there was a time in my life where I was just so resistant to practicing self-compassion. And I might recognize that in this section, that is where I can share my own story. Like I might say like, I remember when I first started my business, this is what I was experiencing and yada, 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 right? Or I remember when there was a time in my life, you know, X, Y, and Z, I really had a hard time doing this. So this is a great opportunity to say like, okay, ChatGPT can probably come up with some reasons why it's hard to practice, but I can actually also share my own experience with when I've had a difficult time practicing self-compassion. Here's another one that's sticking out to me. Understanding your inner critic, common patterns of self-criticism, how to identify and challenge your inner critic, strategies for shifting self-talk from criticism to compassion. Maybe I have a mantra that I tell myself when I'm noticing that I'm having that little critical voice in my head, right? Maybe there's something I tell myself, maybe I give my inner child a hug, right? Like maybe there's something that I do that I know works for me to move that critical thought to the compassionate thought. And that would be a great opportunity for me to share it, right? Like I might say, I notice that when my self-talk is being critical, simply taking a breath and telling myself X, Y, and Z allows me to shift from criticism to compassion. And that
And I
would
remember
be, yeah.
Chantal saying also that she named some of those parts, right? And so that might be something that you could, you know, add, Chantal, that would make it your voice and make it unique to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Right. So you can see here, even though this is obviously a great blog post and we could go even further, we could ask ChatGPT to write the blog for us. There's still opportunity for us to come in. And I do believe it's also our responsibility in the role that we play to come in and say, where do I add my personal story, my experience? Chantal, maybe you have like your own signature 3-step process. You know, where do you share your own signature 3-step process that's going to ensure that this blog is authentic to you and the way that you coach and not the same as everybody else, right? And so that's where the layer cake comes in. And I call it a layer cake, one, because I am obsessed with baking shows, but also two, because we recognize that in a lot of baking shows, everybody has the same ingredients, right? But what they come out with at the end is completely different because they have partnered with those ingredients, but they've also allowed their own uniqueness, their own flair, their own experience to play into what they create. And that is the scope, I think, that we have the opportunity to work with tools like this in, like recognizing we all have ChatGPT, right? If we stay very general, we're all going to be given the same ingredients. But as we put our own flair into it, our own expertise into it, our own dynamics into it, we will really start to recognize that can all come out with something very different and very authentic and in alignment with who we are at the end of it. So I see a lot of like things where it's like, oh, I could have written so much better than that, right? Or, oh, it just gives me really general results. But hopefully this demonstration has kind of shown you how if people are getting results, it's probably because they're putting in very general types of commands. And the more we tweak our commands and the more we add our own unique details to these commands, the more unique in an alignment with who we are, the prompts are going to be. So with that, I always share, and Bruce, I don't know if you were on the training last night with Jasper Brand Voice. But I always say, like, dive in and have fun. And you really won't even know, Bruce said, like what you need to rewrite, what you need to tweak until you get in and you actually start experimenting. And I always say you can't break ChatGPT, which actually, Bruce, you'll probably find out we broke Jasper last night trying to play with Brand Voice. And so I was like, you guys proved me wrong. Like I always say, you can't break these tools. And now there's like 100 of us on here trying to use this tool and we literally broke the tool. But again, this was a free version. So for anybody who's like just trying to dive in and get started, you can see the power in even what the free version is doing, and the opportunity for us to maintain our stories, our unique experiences, and so forth. So with that, if you guys have any questions or comments or yeah.
Hi, sorry, I can't
Hi.
find my little hand.
we
This
go.
is absolutely wonderful. Thank you. I have a
Mhm.
couple of questions. One is when I add, or I haven't done it yet, but if I add my own personal story in, or stories and put them into those spots and put it through GPT, a chat GPT, and it outputs it, if it goes into copy, what is it called? Copy leaks, even though it's my stories, will it then read as an AI story or is it my story? So it's very personal.
Well, what it creates is going to reflect your personal story. So if I, for example, my two children, their names are Stella and Carter. If I say I'm a mother, it's going to give me a result reflecting that I'm a mother. If I say I'm a mother of two children named Stella and Carter, what we'll see is that results are going to incorporate my actual children.
Perhaps I wasn't clear on my question. So my understanding is you can take something and put it into something called copy leaks. And with copy leaks, it will tell you whether it has been AI generated.
Hmm.
So if I put my story in there, will it say it's AI generated?
So I think the verdict is still out in terms of whether or not these AI generated results are going to be triggered or picked up by plagiarism tools like copy leaks and things like that. I do believe that the more of our personal stories that are in there, the less likely they are to be flagged by a site like that. So the one thing that we can do is play around with it. Like I would test it personally and just see like how much of my story actually has to be in there in order for a tool like Copy Leaks to say this is AI generated or it's not. But I think every site is maybe different with the percentage of what they can pick up. I've run a few things that AI has completely written through Turnitin, which is what my university uses for plagiarism, and it has not picked up on plagiarism, even though it was not written by me at all. So I think it's interesting, but like with sites like that also, we probably have to recognize they're also getting smarter.
Mhm.
Right. And so as we learn, it's going to learn. But I think if you put your own experiences and your life story in there, I think that's a pretty solid way to ensure that it appears that it is your personal story. It does not come up that it is completely AI written.
Sorry, that's just made me think of something else, like the media, for example. You don't have, I shouldn't say it, I shouldn't generalize, but sometimes journalists don't go back and do their own homework. And as a result of that, I have won so many awards that I've never even heard of. and I am a doctor, I am a nurse, I am all these things, which I'm not. And so I'm wondering, in terms of this, how are they going to take my story? Because then other people can possibly take my story, which is what's happened with the work that I do. So is it better for me not to go in there, or reframe it in a different way?
I mean, honestly, what I like to do when it comes to personal stories and things like that is I will take, for example, the blog outline that ChatGPT created for us. If I was going to go as far as to have ChatGPT write that blog for me, I would copy and paste it into a Google document. And then in that Google document is where I would put my story in. Like, I'm very mindful about putting, oh, my daughter was born on this date and this is how old, like, into actually ChatGPT. And so I usually take it out of the platform, and then that's where I add my personal stories and things that are unique to me. And I think that's a pretty safe way, until we're really sure on like what gets used, what doesn't get used, where does it all go, to be able to maintain our own security and our own peace of mind when using AI.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yep,
Appreciate it.
you're
And
welcome.
then, and in addition, fifth, then you can use Grammarly and or something like Pro Writing Aid, and then it can help not only with punctuation and grammar, but it can do writing level tests. So if you has it been written for, you know, an eighth grader? Is this written for a college student? Whatever. So, you know, there's AI in those tools that you don't have to put it on Chat GPT. And then we're feeling pretty comfortable with the security of things like Grammarly that just check your things and give you advice, rather than, you know, totally rewriting it and pulling it into their platform. So
Great. Thank you. Thanks you so much, Bruce and Kelley.
Yeah, you're welcome. Chantal?
Very similar to what Phoebe just said, because I know for a fact that online, offline, and sidekicks don't exist out there. And I was thinking, well, if it puts it out there, then it's no longer mine. But that is, it's kind of like the work with Byron Katie.
Mhm,
You know, if it had gone out there, how could she attribute it to her when it is hers?
mhm.
And I want to make sure that I safeguard my sidekicks, my online, my offline. So what I'm hearing, if I heard you correctly, is anything that I wouldn't want distributed for somebody else to use, I should keep to myself when I work in it within a Google Docs or a Word.
I think just in the whole span of safety and security, that's probably the smartest thing that we can do for the moment.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I want to just talk about like the flip side of that also. I spoke at an event on Saturday using AI, and there was a security expert on there who has like his 5-step security thing. And he said, I want my process to be what people get on ChatGPT when they ask about security. So like, he was like, I want to be the one that ChatGPT is like, well, according to this expert, he says you should X, Y, and Z, right? And he said, how do I do that? And in that case, I was like, you want to put as much into ChatGPT and as much into the public space as possible, because that's where ChatGPT is pulling from, right? But then there's those of us also that are like, I don't want my stuff out there, right? I don't want to be on Google everywhere. This is like my secret sauce that I don't want everybody knowing about. And so there's really two sides to that, which is really interesting, right? And I really hadn't thought about that until he asked me. We did a test run yesterday to see if it would pull Russell Brunson's perfect webinar framework if I asked it to create a webinar for me. So I said, create a webinar outline. And then I said, recreate the outline to model Russell Brunson's perfect webinar. And it did it to a T. Right. And that's because there's so much out there in the public space about Russell Brunson and the perfect webinar. He's got free videos on it. He's got blogs on it. Other people talk about it. Other people do videos on it. And some people want that credibility, right? Some people are like, want people to be able to pull from ChatGPT their stuff. And then there's other people where, you know, where we are like, I don't want that stuff on the internet. So yeah, I think pulling it off the platform, anything where you're like, I don't really think I want that out there, is just is a smart way to go. Arnie?
That was one of my biggest concerns when this stuff started coming out is, I don't mind if it's there, but I'd like to get credit for it. And what I did was did a search on some of the words I use and the acronyms I use. So tell me about this. And at that time, I was trying Bing because it had the current stuff with the ChatGPT 4, and I saw it come up, but then it did the attributions and I got credit for it and they were Facebook posts. So it's like, okay, I'm okay with if putting my stuff out there, as long as eventually the systems will be able to figure out where they got it from. And just like ChatGPT, you can ask for attributions. So if my stuff gets out there in a general article, somebody else picks it up and plays with it. Eventually, somebody might say, what is this stuff? And if they actually search it, hopefully it'll come back to me.
Yeah, right. And that right now with this machine learning, I just came across an article that about a woman who basically asked ChatGPT about herself. And it came up with a lot of accurate information, but it missed the fact that she had a book out. And so when she asked ChatGPT who wrote this book, it lied. It came up with some like man from like, you know, some other state. And she said she had this total like imposter syndrome. Oh my gosh, someone else wrote a book that was the same title as mine. But when she Googled it, it was completely made up. Right. So those are things I think that we're going to see as it's learning and in its evolution is I just, I plugged in one of my sons, he's a 5th grader. He had like a mental math problem or some kind of, and he was like, is this right? And honestly, I was like, I don't know if it's right. Like, I didn't know if he had the right answer or not. So I put it in ChatGPT. ChatGPT could not solve the problem. Like it gave something like that was clearly not the right answer. And I kept trying to like redirect it. And it kept saying like, I'm sorry, let me try again. And it couldn't get it. And so it's interesting. I think we're going to find little pockets of inconsistencies and things like that. But of course, all of those will get better as these tools evolve. But that's why it's so important to fact check.
I've read an article where just changing the prompt a little bit was able to take a logical math problem that it wasn't solving and then get the right answer. But I think it shows you that if we have to understand that this is a word prediction tool at the moment. It uses natural language processing to look at patterns of language and then predict statistically what is the next best word or next best phrase to give us. So it's doing a statistical prediction and not pulling an actual fact. Eventually, will they be able to do that and pull in, fact checking as part of that algorithm? Probably, but yeah, right now it definitely doesn't.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments? I'm imagining, Gwen, you typically try to stick to an hour perhaps on these calls. I don't know of the time, so I want to be mindful of everybody and not go over. Chantal?
It's very quick. It's about Fief, Arnie, and I. Same thing. It seems like it would be smart to wait till you're actually established author, established expert within this domain. Then it becomes, okay, well, yeah, you can spread it out because it's established. I'm the creator of this idea or this. And I'm looking at Russell Brunson, which he just used, and he's going, I don't care. I can give it away now because everybody knows it's his anyway.
Yeah.
So, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Super.
You're welcome. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody. Like it was just such a pleasure being here. And Gwen, I have it's like a business guide to AI. It's just like a download. Is it okay if I share it? It's kind of just like the 5 of the like most popular tools that you can use for content creation, video, graphics, all the things. They're all AI tools that have been around a while. I know we can go down the rabbit hole sometimes when it comes to like, what tools do I use and Googling all of that. So I kind of just put one together of my favorite tools. So you guys are welcome to access that. Yeah. And it was a pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me and Bruce and Gwen. And giving me an hour of your time. I know time is valuable. So thanks everybody. It's been fun being here.
Thanks, Kelley. And
Yeah.
for people who would like to work with you more in the future, what would be the best way for them to reach out to you?
I will put my email in the chat. It's Kelley, Kelley at womenwhoai.com. I'd love to connect. If you have questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I'm also all over social media, so you can find me on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and things like that as well.
Good. And tell me what the kind of the mission or the purpose of Women Who AI is.
So Women Who AI is a summit that launched about a month ago. It generated from Darby and I actually being at the Jasper Gen AI conference in February. There are about 12 to 1,500 participants and about 30 women. And so I was kind of joking. A couple of the women were saying just like how intimidating it can be to be in a room full of males and things like that. And I kind of joked and was like, we need our own summit. And someone was like, do it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And I was hoping to get 500 participants. We ended up getting over 1,100. It was a free summit. We had 18 female speakers who are in the AI space, which was amazing. And something that really came out of that, to kind of what we're talking about with the results of Jasper, is recognizing that there's bias, right, in a lot of these AI tools. And when we're talking about machines learning, if we have one person giving it all of the information, it's going to be highly biased to that one person. And so through putting on that summit, I really recognize that the bigger picture is the more diversity and the more of us that get involved and interact with AI and feed it information, the more we can work against some of the biases that we might be seeing. And so that's kind of like the new birth of where Women Who AI is just recognizing the more diverse voices we have in there, the more we have people like me asking ChatGPT to help it make dinner, the smarter it's going to become, right? The more well-rounded it's going to be. And hopefully we can start to see that there's some elimination of some bias that we see. So yeah.
Good. And is there a way to like join the website or the community, the Women Who AI?
Yes, we have a Facebook group. The Facebook group is open. We are in the middle of planning. I haven't announced this to anybody yet, but we're in the middle of planning our next summit, which looks like it's going to be at the end of July. It's going to be specifically around Gen AI. But there is a link to the Facebook group. We welcome males and females in the group. But we do like to spotlight a lot of female users and things like that. But we've got trainings in there. It's a great community. People always asking questions. I think it's a really safe space too for beginners, for people who are just like, I don't really want to know where to ask this. And I don't know if I should ask it in this group because everyone seems like they're so into AI. So we'd love to have you as part of the community.
Thank you so much. You're such a, not only so incredibly smart, a great educator, great speaker, but also just a lovely person. And so thank you so much for sharing your time with us.
Chantal, that was so amazing. Super informative, right?
Yes, I could not agree more. I really, really appreciate not just her knowledge and expertise, but like her presentation style. She definitely knows her shit, right? And I
Absolutely. You can tell she's been an educator for most of her life. Yeah, she's really comfortable. And yeah, agreed. She actually makes a fantastic coach.
Oh my gosh, phenomenal, phenomenal. So I know everybody, after listening to that episode, you're going to want to go connect with Kelley and learn more about her Women Who AI program. And so we will be sure to have the Facebook link group in there, as well as the Kelley's favorite AI tools for business that she mentions in there. We will get that link in there for you as well.
Absolutely. That 3-page guide of AI tools is a go-to for me. I love it. I refer to it daily. And of course, we've been delighted to share it within our AI Coach Connection WhatsApp group as well. We want to give Kelley and Bruce our deepest thanks for allowing us again to share this amazing masterclass. And of course, we want to also tap our listeners to share their takeaways from today, and also to hopefully share their feedback and a rating at ratethispodcast.com/CALYL. Your feedback, your ratings, your reviews are always so deeply appreciated. And of course, you can quickly and easily leave a review again at ratethispodcast.com/CALYL. Grab the link in the show notes.
Absolutely. So we would absolutely love to connect with you in the Create a Life You Love membership. If that is something that you're interested in, we are accepting applications. So just head to createalifeyoulovecoaching.com/membership, and we'll have all those links. And again, come join us in the free WhatsApp community. And with that link, it's all about AI and coaches and connection. That's why it's called AI Coach Connection.
Thank you.
I love it. All right, everybody, go get your AI on. Enjoy the journey. Thank you for listening to the Create a Life You Love podcast. We would love to hear from you about your biggest takeaways. Share them with us on Facebook or Instagram at Create a Life You Love Coaching. If you love this episode, be sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It's very much appreciated. If you are ready to build aligned and sustainable momentum without overwhelm and burnout, we invite you to apply for the Create a Life You Love membership on our website, createalifeyoulovecoaching.com/membership. That's it for now. Enjoy the journey.